Hello there, welcome. This video is about how to get clarity in your life. And it's a general formula for success in terms of getting what you want and figuring out what you want. And so each specific case requires specific tweaks and adjustments to the methodology. However, when you start to learn the fundamentals and then apply the fundamentals, you get a success strategy that's very useful because you can apply it to many different areas. So the general fundamental in terms of getting clarity and getting whatever you want in your life, because that's the big question, is you start from really wide to narrow. And sometimes this stuff is intuitive, but we just need a reminder. So you got narrow, then we got wide. And so we're funneling through different questions, different ideas, different practices to get to what we're after, what we're looking for. So in the beginning, if we start too specific in the beginning, we narrow our search right away and we close it off. So if I say something like, let's say I've never dated a girl in my life, and I tell myself I only want girls with green eyes and red hair, and they have to be a certain body type and certain height, and they can only be Ivy League school graduates, and pretty soon I've narrowed a search that there's no answers for. And so that's the problem when we start too specific too soon. We've cut out answers that, one, they might actually be the right answer for us, and two, if we get narrowed too soon, we might actually not have any results for our search. And so we want to start with general ideas, general bigger ideas. So let's say you're trying to find clarity and you're like, what do I really love in my life? And so you start to think about, well, when have I been happiest in my life? When do I feel successful? When do I feel fulfilled? And recently I was with one of my clients and we were talking about her highlight of the day was when she is on the bus and she sees a baby on the bus, and the baby's in the stroller and she gets to look into the eyes of the baby, and that fills her up with light. There's something so pure and precious about that, and she feels happy. And then she goes on to tell me about how, but when she looks at someone who is successful in her eyes, and she looks at where she's at, she sees a wall. She's like, I don't know how to get there. And that's another example of starting to narrow, saying, I want to be like so-and-so, and not building back from that general sense of clarity that you already know. So when we were working together, what we did was we built off that feeling that she has when she's looking eye to eye with that kid, with the baby in the stroller. And so she gets to look at that baby and feel connected and feel alive and feel truth and love. And she dreams of being an inspiration, similar to me. And when we are authentic and in harmony with love and truth, people respond to that. And when people respond to that, that's when we become inspiring. And so starting from that wide idea of, I want to live authentic, I want to live true, I want to live with love and compassion, those are values we can bring into all areas of our life. And so we don't tie ourselves down and say, a lot of us, for example, we like variety, we like change, we like adventure. Some of us want a very specific thing, and you can go through wide to narrow and get your specific thing. Or you can decide to do it slightly differently, where you know your fundamentals, and then that can express in many ways. So for example, for me, I live my life with truth and honesty and compassion and bringing spirit and playfulness and joy and intelligence and conscientiousness into everything I do. For example, into yoga, into personal training, into business consulting, into my writing, into my speaking, and so on, into my work in sustainability and global development, and yoga in every area that I live and breathe in, into my relationships, into my home, into my books, into my house design. And so when you know your fundamentals, it's easier. And how do you get fundamentals? You have to start with what you know. You have to start with the deepest, most truth that you understand, and then move from there and nurture it. And as you get used to going from that deepest space, your most clearest depth of knowing, it gets it's clearer. And you go to focusing more and more on what you do want. And every time you notice something that you don't want, you make a little note of that and you say, okay, well that's contrast, and that contrast is good because it teaches me what I don't want. However, you focus 99% of your energy, maybe 95% of your energy on what you do want, on feeling what you do want, on visualizing what you do want. And in the beginning you start general. Maybe you just imagine that, for me it's sunsets, forest, laughter, campfires. I feel that in my body and I'm like, okay, I just want to love, I just want to play, I just want to be. But then I also know I want to give. I also know I want to make positive changes. So I bring that energy to say, well, I'm going to do holistic healing yoga. And I'm going to bring that energy and spread it around and help other people share that. And I'm going to do that in my business consulting and show other entrepreneurs how to take their love of life and help empower other people to live their lives to the fullest in their own unique ways. How do you show organizations, for example, to create mutually uplifting relationships so their firms become transformational tools for good in the world? And the general formula, as I'm saying, is you start wide with the general ideas, asking yourself broader questions like, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about? And you get narrower. How does this want to express? What am I good at? What does the world need? What do I enjoy doing? And you get narrower. Well, okay, I can do yoga, I can personal train, I can start businesses, I can coach. And how do I want to do that? Well, I can work with athletes, and I can work with kids, and I can work with students, and I can work with business people and leaders, and it gets narrower, narrower, narrower. And then when you're satisfied with that, you can repeat the process. So you can do this with relationships, you can do this with career, do this with health and wellness, you can do this with your garden, you can do this with your music ideas, you can, starting broad and then going narrow. That's the starting broad and growing narrow is the key fundamental principle of figuring out what you want to do with your life, how to get anything you want. This is about how to get clarity. So don't get too caught up in the specifics right away. Start broad, get experiences, collect data, and you know what? If you continue to look at your life and commit yourself to learning and from every experience, so learning from every experience, and then adapting and refining your process after every experience, and then reapplying that new, better strategy, you're going to guarantee your success, because you're always going to get closer and closer by asking questions, getting experiences, refining and adapting and succeeding, going from broad to narrow. And so let me know what questions you have, and thank you for watching this video about how to get what you want and get clarity in your life. Bye for now.